Memorial Day. Every year, the President issues a proclamation naming May the 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day. Of course, in the days leading up to May 15th, thousands of peace officers and their families come to Washington, D.C. They come here to remember their fellow officers and their loved ones who have given their lives all in the line of duty. They participate in conferences and memorial services. They honor the memories of those who worked so hard to protect our communities and in the end made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives for the rest of us. Americans have been protected by peace officers for 217 years, ever since the early settlers in Boston, Massachusetts. They established a program called Night Watch to safeguard those Bostonians. Not a day goes by that law enforcement officers do not face danger in their mission to keep us safe from crime, acts of violence, and now terrorism. On May 17, 1792, New York City's Deputy Sheriff Isaac Smith became the first recorded peace officer to be killed in the line of duty. Mr. Speaker, since that time, 18,600 law enforcement officers have been killed in the line of duty. Let me repeat, 18,600 peace officers in the United States have been killed in the line of duty. On average, 58,000 law enforcement officers are assaulted every year, and in 2009, 125 of those officers were killed protecting other Americans. 5 of those fallen officers were from my home state of Texas. Those individuals were Senior Corporal Norman Smith of the Dallas Police Department. He was killed by gunfire on June 6, 2009. Lieutenant Stuart Alexander from the Corpus Christi Police Department. He was killed by vehicular assault on March 11, 2009. Sergeant Randy White of the Bridgeport PD was killed by vehicle pursuit on April 2, 2009. Houston Police Officer Henry Canales was killed by gunfire on June 23, 2009. And Jesse Hamilton was killed on August 25th by gunfire, and he was a member of the Pasadena Police Department of the state of Texas. 2009 was a particularly difficult year for peace officer families. On the 21st day of March 2009, 4 members of the Oakland, California Police Department were shot and killed in the line of duty. Sergeants Mark Dunnigan, Irvin Romans, Dan Sakai, and Officer John Hagee gave their lives in service to their fellow Americans, and we honor them in their service today. On November the 29th, 2009, 4 members of the Lakewood Police Department in Washington were brutally ambushed as they sat in a coffee shop catching up on paperwork and planning for their upcoming shift. Sergeant Mark Reniger and Officers Tina Griswold, Ronald Owens, Greg Richards were all veteran law enforcement officers, each with between 8 and 14 years of experience. This loss was a staggering blow to the Lakewood community and the national community of peace officers. We continue to mourn this senseless loss and honor them for their service. Although there has been great progress in protecting the safety of these men and women who wear the uniform, the death of every officer serves as a reminder to the whole country that our nation's law enforcement officers still face dangerous and potentially dead situations every day. During my 20 years as a judge in Texas, I had the privilege of working alongside some of America's finest police officers. Later during my term on the bench, some of those police officers were killed in the line of duty. Now, as a founder and co-chair of the Congressional Victims' Rights Caucus, I recognize that peace officers are too often victims of crimes they seek to prevent. When a peace officer puts on a uniform in the morning, they represent everything that is good, everything that is right about our country. And I am privileged to honor them here today. And I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague from Texas, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Florida reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I ask the gentleman if he has any other speakers.
Does the gentleman have any other speakers?
I do not, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I'm prepared to close, and I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we in this House of Representatives need to always remember that outside these halls, on the rooftops, and around the Capitol are the Capitol police officers watching and protecting those who come to the People's House, to the Capitol building and the surrounding buildings. And we need to remember that in 1998, two of those Capitol Police officers, Jacob Chestnut and Detective John Gibson, were killed in the line of duty in this very building as they were protecting other members of Congress from a gun-wielding assailant that came in to this place. We should always remember that these peace officers every day are a cut above the rest of us. And they do represent everything that's good and fine and right about America. Later this week, not far from here, on the west side of the Capitol, there will be the families of the slain police officers in the United States. Surrounding them in a group will be thousands and thousands of peace officers in the United States, all wearing the uniform, with a badge that they wear above their heart and a black cloth across that badge. Those people stand in honor of those families that have lost loved ones who were peace officers that represented the rest of us and were killed in the line of duty. We owe them everything that we can say that is good and noble about their work. We honor them. We praise those that are in the line of duty. We remember those that were killed in the line of duty, and we also remember their families. I yield back the remainder of my time.